Welcome to Nurse Burnout Solutions, the podcast for nurses ready to trade exhaustion for energy. I'm your host, Betty McLean. I'm a nurse with over 20 years of experience, and I'm also a certified life and certified burnout coach. I'm here to give you practical tools, share some inspiring stories, and offer real support for recovery from burnout. So to start out, I'd love to hear about how you came to massage therapy and intuitive work, and a little bit about, who you are. And
Great. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I've known Betty for a while now, and I highly respect what she does. She's helped me quite a bit, actually, in my own practice and in my own life. So I'm very appreciative.
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, actually, I used to do energy work on people without really knowing that I was doing energy work on people.
Yeah.
So, Dad would get a headache, and I'd be like, "Don't worry, Dad, I got you." And I'd put my hands up, and I was basically doing Reiki on my dad's headache, and it would always go away. He would always feel better. When I graduated high school, I actually wanted to be a massage therapist, but life got in the way. I didn't have a local school to go to, and I wasn't quite ready. I just wasn't ready. Divinely, I was not ready.
Nope.
So I ended up actually going into dentistry. So I was a clinical assistant and front office, did insurance billing, all that kind of stuff, and I got burned out. And I had been through a major car accident that I still suffer from the injuries from today. That was back in 2009. And I had to have massage therapy and chiropractics and multiple surgeries. So I still need surgery. So it's an ongoing thing. So that kind of led me to go back to pursuing the massage therapy. I realized that my ability to empathize with people who are suffering is something that people need in a provider, because there were a few providers that I didn't have that empathy from. They didn't understand pain from, the perspective of actually having it.
Yeah.
It was just, I know how to fix you. And I'm like, not even touching the problem. Like it was a thing.
Yeah. Interesting.
So I wanted to bring that to people. And now I've been a massage therapist for about 7 years.
And you've recently started integrating like spiritual practice or intuitive practice. What do you call it?
So I've always had intuitive psychic abilities.
Yeah.
I'm also a medium. And I've always kind of used that in my massage practice. Not so much like, what's all Betty's business.
Yeah.
But more like placing my hands on somebody and realizing where the shoulder pain is coming from. I can place my hands and feel what's going on with the energy.
Yeah.
And then I'll ask, okay, are you here? Is the pain here and here? And people will say yes. I'm like, yeah, okay, that confirms what I'm seeing in my third eye.
Yeah.
So it integrates that way. I also do things like chakra balancing, which can also give me an idea of what the person's higher self is trying to communicate.
Okay.
So that has been, recently I've been integrating that more as I'm seeing more people are accepting of it.
Yeah.
So I kind of came out of the closet with this recently, because I've always done it, but realizing that there's a community out there that wants to seek that out and is in need of that, I think that really helps.
So a lot of nurses are empathic. The term empathic is, people just say like, I'm an empath, right? I think there are a lot of nurses who are very empathetic. We talk about it just as a skill, right? Like you have to be empathetic to your patient, right? But there's also the intuitive empath who can actually feel other people's pain. Is that you, first of all?
Yes.
And if that is you, how do you deal with not being overwhelmed? Because this is something I see in nurses a lot, is nurses will go into nursing because they know that they can make a difference. They know they can help. They know they can heal, right? And you get through the nursing school, you get all the head knowledge, you get into it, and you're going room to room to room, taking care of people physically, but also very much emotionally. And just physically, it's exhausting, as is massage therapy. But then emotionally, it becomes overwhelming. And we aren't taught in nursing school how to protect our emotions. So are there things that you do or that you recommend to people when they are feeling emotionally overwhelmed because they are empathetic and they're working with a lot of broken people?
I think for me, because yes, I am empathic. I used to have a client actually that her shoulder would hurt and my shoulder would hurt. And, she broke the same foot that I did. And there was a lot of parallels there.
Yeah.
So first thing is that I am present in the space in a bubble.
Mm.
So doing energy work, it's very easy to absorb things, and I tend to have more physical symptoms if I don't create my bubble.
Yeah.
I also have to ground. So before I do any energy work on people or get really involved in the care in terms of emotionally, I will take deep breaths in, imagining a white light or prana, breathing in that prana. And then as I exhale, I imagine any negativity coming out, like almost like a gray smoke. That's how it appears to me.
Yeah.
So I release any negativity, but also while I'm releasing that, my feet are putting roots in the ground and I'm grounding with the earth.
Yeah.
So that helps. Another thing that I do is between clients, when I'm washing my hands and my arms, I imagine washing away all of because I deal with a lot of trauma, right? So I wash away their trauma, I wash away their injury, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And as it goes down the drain, I release it with peace in my heart.
Yeah.
And that way I'm done with that part of it and I can move on to the next person. Nurses don't have that kind of time between usually, as far as I understand. My sister's a nurse, and so you're jumping patient to patient to patient.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as when you're sanitizing your hands before you go into the space, just, okay, I am now, taking back my energy, releasing the other person's energy, and I'm going into this space clean.
I like that, because as you were explaining that, I was like, we don't necessarily like do a surgical scrub down between every single patient, but we do sanitize in between each patient. Sometimes we even sanitize in between. We're in the same room and we're, in between like medicine versus changing a wound. So we're constantly either sanitizing or washing our hands. I think that would be a really, like you said, a really good moment to be like, I'm cleaning off the old, I'm cleaning off the trauma, I'm cleaning off anything that's not helpful for me.
Yeah.
And I'm protecting myself.
Yeah. And even when you're donning your PPE, you're putting on a physical barrier, but you could also be putting your bubble out. Yeah.
Being like, I don't need to take on their emotions.
Yeah.
Because there's a difference. And I think this is something that nurses, so I've been a nurse for 21, almost 22 years. And so I luckily just naturally found my way to, I can empathize and care about your emotions without taking them on as my own. Yeah. But I don't think everybody does that, especially if you're a highly intuitive or a highly emotional person. I think that's a little harder. So I think emotionally or saying in your brain, I'm protecting myself emotionally, putting on the gloves. I'm protecting myself physically. I'm also protecting myself emotionally, energetically as I put these on. It doesn't mean I have to be a cold-hearted, witch. It just means I can care for you and not take your emotion on as my own.
Well, that actually is kind of in line with what I was about to say, was that, I'm like the bartender of medical care, because everybody comes to their massage therapist and we hear everything. And part of that is because we're stimulating the trauma in the body, and then people are remembering it and releasing it to us verbally, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times, I do have to sit there and tell myself, it's not my job to fix their emotional state. It's not my job to fix their life.
Yeah.
I can hold them in a place of compassion and empathy, and even send out warm feelings of love to them. But it's not up to me. It's up to them, and it's up to the divine. And so kind of releasing that feeling of, a lot of us as caretakers, we feel responsible when we hear something like, I have to do something about this, but you don't. It's just, you're helping by holding a space for that person in the moment. In the moment. It's not holding a space for that person all day long while you're with all your other clients or whatever, you can't do that to yourself, even in your personal life. So it's, boundaries.
Can you talk a little bit more about, because you kind of touched on the idea that our physical body and our emotional body are connected. You mentioned that trauma will come up or emotions will come up when you're working through like an injury or a tight muscle or whatever. Can you talk a little bit more to that? I know one thing that I have had to start teaching my clients is to reconnect our thoughts to our body, right?
Mhm.
Because it seems like the way I was taught were they were two separate things. We've got our body and then we've got our brain or our emotions or whatever. But the more I'm learning about brain-body connection and emotions and spirit, it really is all connected. So how do you see that, or how do you explain that to people, that connection?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Honestly, a lot of times, I'll use this as an example because it comes up quite frequently. Women tend to have really tight hips,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because we are receivers in
Mhm.
terms of male-female relationships. When you just, that's
Yeah.
the very surface of it, but we'll just go with that for the example's sake. And so when I'm working on somebody and I'm working on that area and I can sense that there's trauma,
Mm-hmm.
I can ask, are you having any feelings when I'm pushing on this area?
Yeah.
Are you feeling emotional?
Mhm.
And kind of starting it out that way.
Mhm.
And usually it's like, yeah, I had this kind of thing go on when I was a kid or whatever.
Right.
And so it usually just comes up naturally. I don't normally have to explain it a whole lot.
Okay.
I feel like that's not a great answer.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So when you're helping people, so when you as a massage therapist are, say, working on tight neck and shoulders,
Yeah.
and people are having emotional, I've experienced that where somebody was working on my head and shoulders and I feel emotions come up. I guess from your perspective, that's completely normal.
It's completely normal.
Okay.
And usually like I specialize in TMJ massage,
Yeah.
or intraoral massage, and we hold a lot of trauma in our jaw. So our jaw, our shoulders, and our hips are all connected in that way.
And when you say trauma, what
that can be a physical, like you've been in a car accident and there's all the trauma around that,
Mhm.
whether it be emotional, spiritual, whatever,
Mhm.
but also trauma in terms of conflict with others. That
Yeah.
can be very traumatic. Just the conflict verbally can
Yeah.
be very traumatic.
Yeah.
So we tend to clench and tighten this area.
Mhm.
So like when I get in the mouth and I do work and we're releasing, some people will cry.
Mhm.
And they'll be like, I'm sorry. It's not that it hurts that bad. I don't know why I'm crying. And I always say, don't apologize. Please let it out.
Yeah.
Because this is your body kind of working through it.
Yeah.
Because we hold cellular memories,
Yeah.
even genetic memories from our ancestors.
Mhm.
And so all of that, when we're stimulating the tissues, it's getting it flowing again, just like blood flow, right?
Yeah.
We're stimulating all of that. So it can bring up memories.
Mhm.
And I always tell my clients, if you are feeling something, even though it's uncomfortable, even though you're in somebody else's space with that,
Yeah.
feel the feelings.
Yeah.
Feel it. It's going to feel like crap for a couple minutes, maybe. 90 seconds is how long the emotion is. Yeah. Yep. And I've used that to talk to my clients about it, feel it for that 90 seconds. Just sit in it. Be uncomfortable. It's okay to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then your body can work it through and relax because it's not protecting you from it anymore.
Yeah.
Your body is designed to protect you or your, what is it? Your limbic system?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's protecting you all the time. So when you're clenching and grinding, you're storing all of that trauma there, and then it doesn't have a way to come out because we don't address it later.
Yeah.
So when we're in that moment where it is coming out, just sitting with it.
Yeah.
And honoring that part of ourselves that had a problem, had a trauma, and just holding ourselves in compassion, even if it's something, somewhat stupid, like, I tripped over the curb and embarrassed myself,
Right. Yeah.
It's,
I appreciate that because it's, we all, I think if we're at all honest with ourselves, we all understand that we need to release our emotions, and that when we have ongoing conflict or ongoing stress, it is stored in our body. But I think sometimes we don't always, we all know that we have that emotion that we need to release. But sometimes I think we at least for me, I thought that those were two separate things. Yes, I have stress in my shoulders and I need to release that. I have sadness over an event that didn't happen or happened wrong and I need to release that. But I don't think that until I started getting regular massages, I don't think I ever realized that they could be connected.
Yeah, and they also bounce off each other.
Yeah.
So you could have a physical injury that you have an emotional response to, and then you have an emotional injury that you have a physical response to. And yeah, it is all intertwined. I came from a marriage where I was in constant fight or flight.
Yep.
And I'm still coming out of that, right?
Yeah.
But that constant fight or flight led my body to tighten up everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been quite the journey trying to get it to come back to where it should be. Yeah. It takes a long time. And as I go through that journey, there will be different things. While I'm doing very well emotionally and spiritually after all of that trauma, there's still things that come up because we as human beings have different experiences around the same memory throughout our lives because we can understand it from a different perspective. Because we'll understand it as the child within. We'll understand it as the teenager within. Our sense of justice is really high. And then we have the young adult or the maiden, the mother, the crone. We have all these different perspectives. So we'll look back on something. I have head to toe chills because I'm channeling.
I never put it in that. I've never thought about it that way.
Yeah. So you are constantly experiencing all of your traumas from a different perspective. Yeah. So we're never done healing. We're always in the process of becoming. Yeah. And so when we look at ourselves with compassion in that way of, even as a nurse, you are traumatized by what you see sometimes. This is part of the journey of becoming and giving yourself grace to have the experience and have it be uncomfortable or hurtful or sad or whatever.
Yeah.
Allowing yourself to experience that and then honor yourself for recognizing it. Mm-hmm. And you find peace in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said sometimes you're traumatized by what you see. We're daily traumatized by what we see. And I think that exactly is the key. The key is acknowledge that you've just witnessed something that humans shouldn't have to witness, right? Mm-hmm. When we see everything from, the death of a patient all the way up to a patient getting denied treatment because of insurance. That's a huge spectrum, but that's all very hard on our spirit. And acknowledging, because I would say, like, as you were talking, I was thinking, yes, everybody needs to, if you've had a stressful day, you need to go get a massage with Jessica. If you've lost a patient and it was a traumatic patient, you need to go see a therapist first and deal with the trauma so that it does not turn into PTSD. But if you've had a stressful day and you do not want that trauma to root, I guess, acknowledging it, working through, doing something for your body, going for a walk, getting a massage, like walking through things with a life coach. Like there are so many things that we can do to process trauma as it's happening. Yes. And I think being the witness of it, like you were saying, like notice. I think that's a good start.
I also think it's important to recognize that we all need community and to be witnessed. Yeah. Because I experienced this recently where I was discussing some family trauma and just being able to be heard and still being accepted in my authenticity. I think that's the main thing with being witnessed is that we are showing our vulnerability or even what we think is our ugly side because we have certain feelings about something. Mm-hmm. The human experience is an infinite kind of spectrum of emotions. Yeah. And so it's okay if you are not hurt by something you see even, because we carry guilt about that, right? Why are we carrying guilt when this is our body's natural response and our emotions our natural response to that? But I also find a lot of people, and these are people very close to me, who will say, I know we need to do the work, but I don't want to deal with it.
Mm.
And I hold space with them and say,
Yeah.
okay,
Cool.
you're not ready to deal with it, and that's fine. But
Yeah.
we could deal with it for an hour.
Yeah.
Or we can deal with it never.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be
Yeah.
still in there, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and there have been cases where I have sent clients to a therapist
Yeah.
or a counselor
Yeah.
to continue the work that we've
Mhm.
identified needs to happen.
Yeah.
And then when they come back, they're like, I talked to the therapist, this is what we did.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I'm like, well, guess whose hips are looser today?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And just talking about it and giving themselves grace and a place to just say it while they're getting the body work done. I think that's a really nice kind of thing to do for them.
Yeah. I think that's one reason that life coaching can be so beneficial, because it's one thing to vent to a coworker,
Yeah.
Or a family member who they love you and they want to support you, but they don't necessarily know how to hold space in a supportive, neutral way, like where we're not taking on their whatever's got going on, and we're also not adding to the fire. There's a huge difference. So I'll see a lot of nurses sitting around the nurses station, like kind of having a little bit of a bitch fest,
Yeah.
right? Which I think can also be very therapeutic.
I think it's very therapeutic. I do it regularly.
Yeah, but it's not a solution-oriented conversation. It's
Right.
great to vent to our friends,
Mm-hmm.
but our friends aren't necessarily equipped to then offer a healing perspective.
Correct.
Right. And so we need those people that we can just vent to and be like, ah, and they'll vent with us and be like, ah.
Mm-hmm.
But then we need space where we talk with a life coach or a massage therapist or our therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And we say, okay, this is what's going on. And it's got me all riled up. And that person can then go, okay, cool. Let's look at this from a healing perspective. Is there work that needs to be done here? Can we think about it in a different way? Is it something that's holding you back from being the person you want to be? Because if it is, it's time to release it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where therapists of all ilk become very, very beneficial.
Yeah.
Is that we provide that place of like, all right, you're done just complaining about it. How do we want to move forward?
Yeah. And with that said too, with my psychic mediumship, that kind of work, I do offer those services in my massage practice, but it is under a completely different, it's not a scope of practice thing.
Yeah.
So I will do those services separate from the massage or after a massage. Yeah. I don't like doing it during because that's mixing and I don't go there. But some people have found that when we do a reading, that they're actually able to identify within themselves what they need to do. Or their higher self will come through and speak and say, hey, weren't you looking at this the other day? Yes, I was. Okay, why don't you explore that? You know? So it's interesting. And on that note, I did have a therapist that I did this work with. And she said, this is important work. Spiritual work is important work. So that spiritual counseling kind of side of it is definitely a thing.
Well, it's so interesting because one thing I'll say to people all the time, or we just hear, it's just something people say is like, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. But like, it's one thing to know in your brain, like, I should ... right? But then to hear someone mirror it back to you out loud, like, or you say it to them and when it comes out of your lips, you're like, oh, yeah, that's not just a passing thought. That's what I need to do. It's so true. We often our higher self, we know the path we need to take, but it's hard to narrow in on it unless we're speaking it, journaling it, or someone's mirroring
and
it back
having
to
that
us.
validation. Yeah. And like I said, I said spiritual counseling, and that was the wrong word for it. It's spiritual coaching. But it's one of those things where, like, you know, I can sense some reproductive trauma, and that person just needs to know that, you know, that baby was meant to have that journey. And it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with that person because they have that trauma. And, you know, something as simple as verbalizing what their higher self knows to be true to them because they're unaware of it. And so that really helps to release some of those physical manifestations of what's going on. So that's really cool. But for me, I'm in a place now in my practice where people like nurses that are coming in and do hold so much trauma. It's such a gift and blessing to be able to give them that space that if they want to talk about it, they can.
Yeah.
And if they want to cry on the table, they can. And holding these caretakers in a place of love and light.
Yeah.
So that they can heal themselves.
Yep.
Because we're never healed.
Yeah.
We're always healing.
Yes.
We really need to recognize that our healers need that support too.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love it. Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
I think that's a great place to stop because I know we could talk for hours and hours and hours.
And we do.
And we do. So thank you so much. If people want to work with you, either massage or with your intuitive work, how's the best way to get a hold of you?
So I do have a website. It's touchofharmonymassage.com. There is all my contact information on there. So text messaging usually works really well and people email. But you can book online and you can actually book the spiritual consultation if you want the psychic medium work, or we can do 60, 75, or 90-minute massage sessions.
Perfect.
So.
Perfect. All right. You all need to go get a massage with Jessica. She's amazing.
Please do.
Do it. All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Betty.
Thanks for listening to Nurse Burnout Solutions. If today's episode helped you, be sure to subscribe so that you never miss a new episode. And if you know another nurse who could use some encouragement, please share this episode with them. Finally, leaving a quick review helps other nurses find the support that they also deserve. For more resources, visit me anytime at bettymclean.com. I believe all stress is manageable and burnout is not inevitable.